shows how fun county government is.
Morning. I will call to order the Thursday, June 4th meeting of the Criminal Justice Committee. I assume all members have received a copy of the minutes of the previous meeting. If so, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Support.
It's moved and supported. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No sign. Motion carries. Now we'll move to the finance reports. I assume that's Administrator Murphy.
You are assuming correctly. Deputy Elliott is not in the office today, so that's why you're seeing me instead of her. These project income statements are in your packet through May 29th of this year. And currently in this division, you have a cash balance of approximately $85,300. And if there's any questions regarding any of the numbers in here, I will try to answer those for you.
Questions? Comments? Very good. Hearing none, we will move down to the sheriff's report.
Good morning.
Morning.
So let's hit a couple things on my sheriff report. First is a motor safety class is being offered at the Devil's Lake Water Sports, Manitow Beach Road, on June 13th, in case anyone is interested. So we had a couple promotions at the sheriff's office recently. Chris Hudson was promoted to the dispatch director as a lieutenant, and Alex Soto was promoted to sergeant in corrections. So the other is, I believe we have a contract request in front of you today. What it is it's Rollin Township is looking to do some police service, add a contract for police service. This is in response to the state of Michigan. They put out a public safety revenue sharing kind of a grant award to different townships, cities, villages, and townships that don't currently have their own police department, such as Rollin Township, is going to be looking at doing something, whether it's adding to the fireworks or just more road patrol for speeders. I know that that's always a topic, hey, they're speeding on around Devil's Lake. So we want to be able to provide them with that additional police service. So it's kind of I won't call it a blanket contract, but it does not specify dates and times, et cetera. That it's somewhat the same as the Hidden Lake Gardens contract, where, from time to time they'll request police, and so we'll already have this in place with the amount, et cetera. So I'm looking for that to hopefully get passed today, and also provided you with a flock report, and I see that that's on the agenda as well. So other than that, our sheriff's office employees are very busy up at MIS right now, and will be for the remainder of the weekend. So I know we put something out to make sure people are heeding safety on the roads and knowing that there'll be increased traffic. And also, we're just crossing our fingers that rain happens like Saturday evening, night, and stops magically on Sunday morning, and we get the race in. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Questions of the sheriff? One quick one, Sheriff. In the flock report, talks about 96 searches, on the average, 96 searches. Is that over the 3-month period or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Further questions, comments?
Right now, the rain's for Sunday morning or Saturday morning, so Sunday's looking good.
Good.
Next, early Saturday morning, right? After graduation. Okay. Very good. Next, we have an action request. The request is to recommend approving the contract for law enforcement service with Rollin Township to the Personnel Ways and Means Committee. Do I have a motion to that effect?
I have a question. You want me to?
Motion first, then we'll have a discussion.
I'll make a motion to move forward.
Support.
It's moved and supported. Is there any discussion?
Just questioning, will you guys be doing ordinance violations or anything like that on that contract?
To be determined. So we haven't sat down with the supervisor quite yet. Candidly, this contract has not gone in front of their board as of yet. Their board will be meeting this month, and however, if we waited till went in front of their board first and then we brought it in front of this committee, half the summer will be over with, and some of the reasons for wanting extra police will have already been happening. So I anticipate that it's not unusual that when we do a contract with a township that we do some ordinance violation stuff. It's not, like I said, it's not uncommon. We've done it in the past when we do a contract. Addison's a great example when we had the contract there with the village. So
Okay, thanks.
you're welcome.
Mr. Van Dorn,
So this is a somewhat modified contract, but is the rate the same as that we're charging if it's from other municipalities that come in and contract with you? So
Yes.
that there's
Yeah,
no,
the Deerfield one, same,
Okay.
yes.
okay, thank you.
questions or comments? Hearing none, we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and the motion carries. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Move now to the prosecuting attorney.
So we're plugging away, a lot of, electronic data, trying to figure out storage with those, working closely with IT. As far as the, economics crimes and recovery unit for the month of April, they returned to victims and merchants over, just over $10,000, and year to date, as of May 1st, 2026, we were close to $40,000 returned to victims. Any other questions about my report?
Questions of the prosecutor? Comments? Thank you much. Hearing none, we'll move down to the public defender's office.
Morning. As you can see in the report, a breakdown of cases by felony, by misdemeanor. For felonies, decrease of 5.5 cases, not too big of a change there. For misdemeanors, increase of a half a case. So we're sort of staying level, staying on par. And the other note is there has been a hire of chief public defender, and she'll be starting next week. So we'll get her up to date.
Very good. Questions of the public defender's office? Comments? Thank you much. Hearing none. Emergency management. I'm sorry, Administrator Murphy.
There's an item under the public defender's office regarding the
Oh,
planning
I'm sorry.
discussion.
Did you want to address that?
I can. Last month at Personnel Ways and Means, when we brought the coverage forward, there was a question by a commissioner about the intentional acts coverage. And the bill was, or the policy was approved, moved forward, so the public defender's office has the coverage. But the question became, are we covering for intentional acts? And we wanted to have that discussion brought back to this committee for discussion. And as a result of that, we wanted to have more of that dialogue to say, the representation that the public defenders have with their clients does look different than what the prosecutor's office has with the cases that they defend. And when we looked and asked the question about what does the dollar figure look like when we remove, or can we even remove that piece from the invoice? And if we do, what does that look like? And I think there was some concern that if we could remove that intentional acts portion, that the invoice for coverage would reduce significantly. The reality is it only went down by a couple $100 if we were to do that. And so although the MMRMA, we've heard they do not cover public defender's offices, that's why we have this separate policy. They are actually looking at bringing coverage on for that purpose. However, it is subject to our SIR, which was 75,000, is now 100,000. In other words, our deductible, if you will, is that per case. The policy that we are currently working with for the public defender's office has a limit of $10,000. So MMRMA is actually suggesting to the counties to continue with the coverage that you currently have. It's actually better coverage than what we are going to be offering. We also talked to MMRMA because we assumed that this might come up and said, well, what about with MMRMA, who covers the majority of our other liability responsibilities with departments, and what about intentional acts with the rest of the departments? And although the county would be covered in all cases, if an employee were to have an intentional act to cause harm or do something, that individual would not be covered by MMRMA. They would need to acquire their own counsel. So I don't know if that answers the questions that the commission had at the Ways and Means meeting, or if there are any more questions I could try to answer for you.
Mr. Van Dorn.
No, I appreciate you looking into that and thank you for that explanation. And I think that aligns exactly with corporate counsel was discussing with us at the time for the amount of money that we would save. It's a good insurance policy, for lack of another word, to move forward with. So thank you for that.
And I also want to say that a portion of that, a good portion of that cost, I believe it's about 75% of the cost of that coverage is covered by MIDC through our grant and the application that Mr. Degar Magosian and his staff have submitted.
Perfect. Great. Thank you.
Further questions, comments? Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now we will move to the emergency management report.
So I'll just highlight a couple things from my report. I attended a emergency operations plan update meeting at Onstead Schools. And Commissioner Krasny, you'll be happy to hear that they are in the top tier of the schools in the county as far as their preparedness and what they're doing for school safety. So they are on the ball there in Onstead. We also
Usually are.
in some things.
Oh, boy.
We hosted a weather spotter training by the National Weather Service and at Adrian College, and we had 58 people attend, which far exceeds any we've done in the past. So that was a really good turnout, probably because of all the severe weather we had this spring. Also worked with, over the past few months with our IT department on a county cyber disruption plan. And then we did a talk through with Administrator Murphy on what that looks like. And so they'll be making some edits to that. And basically it outlines if we have a cyber disruption in the county, different levels of a cyber disruption, and at each level, who gets contacted and who does what. In addition, that prioritizes which departments they need to get up and running first. And within those departments, what it prioritizes their software requirements, what software and equipment do you need running to perform your essential services. So it also goes as far as listing key vendors. Just for an example, if something happened in that building and IT department disappeared because that building blew up, how would we go about getting that IT infrastructure back up and running? So there's a list of their vendors to contact in order for them to come in and basically act as our temporary IT department to get the county back up and running. So I'm sure they'll be bringing that forward to the IT committee in the future, but should be a good plan. And then lastly, just working on the incident action plan for the race this weekend. Been doing that for the last couple of weeks. It, a little bit like herding cats, but, when you're dealing with that many agencies and having to get every agency's list of personnel and list of resources that they're gonna have on site, from local Cambridge Fire, Cambridge PD, Jackson Community Ambulance, the Sheriff's Department, MSP, the FBI, the National Weather Service, Michigan National Guard, civil support teams, NASCAR and MIS. So just coordinating all that and getting all that information from everybody and putting it into a plan. So that got finalized, late yesterday afternoon and was sent out this morning.
Commissioner Van Dorn.
Couple questions. So I'm glad the weather thing is exciting. I think a lot of that may be attention from some of the meetings and discussions all of us have had and a number of commissioners have had in their own areas. So as part of that plan, moving forward, putting together a grid map that just puts information available so that we know where the sirens are and, local municipalities can take a look at that and have that available to see how they're going coverage. Are we working on that?
Well, each jurisdiction does know where their sirens are.
I just wondering if we're putting together a grid map that shows where all that is so that we can make that available to the people in the county.
I have not done that, but that can be done.
It's something, maybe when you're working with the administrator, you can talk about that and I'll talk about it a little more, but, I think it might be helpful. I know that, we're not recommending that sirens be in placed over. It's not our responsibility. This is just an informational process for the local communities. So,
Okay.
okay, that's number one. Number two, if I may continue, as sitting on the Michigan Works Board, for each of the counties have a fiduciary responsibility for the funding for Michigan Works. They had a very serious cyber attack. My question is in your process and planning, working with IT and moving this forward, is our insurance carrier involved in that? Because we found out at Michigan Works that there are many things that you can and cannot do with your insurance company, that they will take the responsibility for.
Yes, that was one of the things that was discussed in our little workshop, was getting in touch with the insurance company, notifying them, and even getting information from them on what they require as far as documentation from the minute infraction up to the major disruption. Do they want IT to keep a log of everything that happens and what happens and how it was resolved? And do they have any ideas as far as a plan and what they would require in the plan in order to cover any type of claim?
That's good. And one of the biggest concerns that I was really surprised of is that, Michigan Works was not allowed to put out any news releases without the approval of the insurance carrier on any of it.
That's good to know.
Further questions, comments?
More of a comment, not a question. Sorry, yeah, we're here like this. And I appreciate you bringing that up because that was one of the points that we did talk about during our session. And when you made the comment about going back and making some edits, is we have had a numerous number of sessions with MMRMA regarding cyber plans, and we like to call them events. We don't call them disruptions or attacks or anything. They are called events that happen. And what their policies and procedures are. And yes, they want to be notified right away. And in fact, oftentimes they will send a team that comes in and assists hands-on. So those are things that we are working through to make sure that in our plan document, we know at what level things need to happen and whom we need to contact.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any further questions? Could you very quickly, for those that may not be aware of it, explain the STOP grant and program, exactly what it is we're talking about?
So the STOP grant is a grant we received 2 years ago through the Department of Justice. for school safety. It's Stop School Violence. And with that grant, what we have done is we've teamed up with Navigate 360 and West Ed. And it's providing protocols for all the schools to do threat assessments, behavioral threat assessments, not physical building threat assessments. And how to recognize behavior that could escalate into an act of violence, how to mitigate that behavior. And while a lot of that information has been out there, these companies take it a step further and teach them how to do case management. So once they decide that, yes, this was a viable threat, the student is suspended or required to go through counseling, whatever the steps are, how do they manage that case and follow up to make sure that all the steps have been followed before they readmit that student back into school? Or if they're still in school, how do they manage that case? So it goes further than just identifying the behavior. It's how to correct that behavior. That grant actually ends September 30th. And I'm actually working on doing a modification to that grant because we've come in under budget. And my grant administrator from the Department of Justice doesn't want to give money back. So she said, can you add something else? And so we're looking at, and I've worked with her and she thinks that it'll get approved, but adding to that, having West Ed work with the schools to develop all of their reunification plans. Some schools have good reunification plans, Onstead being one of them. Some schools are kind of middle of the road. Some schools have nothing. So it'll develop a template, work with those schools to then customize that template to their individual needs. That will also meet the state guidance, which the state, starting July 1st, is going to require all schools emergency operations plans and reunification plans align with the I Love You Guys Foundation. So, and if we're approved for that modification, we would also request a grant extension for another year because that would then give them a year to work with the schools on their reunification plans.
Good. Thank you much. Appreciate it. Any further comments, questions? Commissioner Van Dorn?
Just quickly, I don't want to take everyone's time, but we really appreciate Greg. Craig really great at looking for those grants and getting those grants. And thank you for all that work. I mean, you do a great job over there.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Questions, comments? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to the medical examiner's report.
Dr. Mano extends his apologies for not being here. He is required to be at MIS. For this weekend, he runs the field hospital at MIS. So he's required to be on property already starting today. So that's why he is not here. So far, January to April, medical examiner has investigated 96 cases for Lenawee County and done 38 autopsies. This coming week, or well, technically tomorrow, we have a new student starting up at the morgue. She's a CMU student. She needs to get in 40 hours for one of her programs, and we are going to help her out with that. Recently, back in April 15th, we took part in a state medical examiner meeting. It was a virtual meeting. There is a group of people trying to get together a state medical examiner, and they say that their goal is to support existing medical examiners' offices. At least that's what they tell us. So I don't know where that will go, but I guess we'll find out. We have a new part-time person named Marcy Schulters in our office. She's doing very well. I think she's going to be a great fit. It's really hard to learn how to handle all of our stuff, paperwork and certificates, and there's a lot to learn, but she's doing really, really well. And then also in April, two of our MEIs, Josh North and Sherry Hanna, did the Addison High School Career Fair, and they did a really good job, and they really enjoy interacting with the kids. And again, The reason we go to career fairs is to represent science, forensic science, biology and the like. And we feel that the more people that understand how our office works, the better it is. So that's all I have.
Questions of the medical examiner? Josh North would be a good fit for that. He used to work for me as
Yeah,
a police officer.
He's very good.
He'd be a good fit. Questions, comments? Very good, thank you. Hearing none, I see nobody here from the courts, so I will move to the Breeze Beer campus. Administrator Murphy has a report.
I do. Unfortunately, Director Weaver is not able to make it today. He is actually conducting interviews this morning for some open positions he has. He wanted you to know that the renovation projects are wrapping up. Well, they're expecting that next week, we will hopefully, I think they said on Thursday, actually formally receive full possession of the add-on as well as the renovations that were made in old detention. They are wrapping up all of the invoicing, and our next invoice should be to settle up on both projects. But it does look like that as far as the new build, the construction, that we will have quite a bit of money coming back that we were not required to spend in part of that project. So that's always a good news. He indicated that his residents are currently working hard up at MIS and that they did also recently help with the tire collection that was done by Materials Management. He indicated that in open unit right now, he has 10 boys and 5 girls. And in DT, he has 5 boys and 1 girl for a total of 21 residents. And he also has 8 boys and 2 girls that are out of county. So he has 10 out of county residents, and that was his report for me to give to you.
Any questions that we may answer or address? No? Very good. Are there any updates or other business to be brought to this committee? Any updates or other business to be brought to this committee? Hearing none, is there any public comment? There is no plethora of comment. Are there any commissioner comments? Member comments? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move. Support.
Moving support, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.